very warm welcome to ETHRWorld. I'm your host Divina Larsen. Now it's with great pleasure that I welcome you to ET Business Studio, a unique digital-first studio that's focused on introducing the next era of growth and leadership. We at ETHRWorld have conscientiously fostered a strong connection with industry leaders across sectors in India and globally. And it is these very industry stalwarts that will pave the way for India and the world's future progress. Thus, we are here on ET Business Studio to pick the minds of these leaders with eye-opening conversations based on the three central pillars of individual impact, trending topics, and future innovation. Our aim is to help Indian organizations to stay ahead of the curve, to zero down on grey areas and find solutions to them. Today, we deep dive into the fascinating and very pertinent topic of HR trends for 2023 with the best of the best from the industry. In a world that has faced unprecedented volatility and uncertainty, the role of HR function has only been strengthened across sectors. Amidst all that is happening across the globe due to the many disruptions brought forward by technology and other aspects, one thing has become evident. People will remain the central focus for organizations that want to succeed and become progressive and future-ready. Tomorrow's HR leaders will need to be bigger, broader thinkers, and they'll have to be tech-savvy and nimble enough to deal with the increasingly agile and restless workforce and evolving workplace. All right, on that note, I'm very pleased to welcome Dr. C Jayakumar, Executive Vice President and Head, Corporate Human Resources, Larsen Toubro, who is here to help us decode the HR trends for 2023. Doctor, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Hello, Divina. Nice to be part of ETHRWorld conversation.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Joining ETHRWorld discussions.
Thank you. So, Doctor, let's just really kickstart at the top and understand from your perspective, when it comes to this past year of 2022, where has the HR industry stood? And on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you say the level of effectiveness has been in the industry?
A very difficult question. Yeah, but it has been a very, very challenging year 2022. Okay. To begin with, at least we came out of the pandemic and started working from office. If not fully, at least we went into a hybrid mode of working. Then whole lot of digital transformation took place in the HR tech space. Whole lot of startups, platforms, pulse survey things, engagement platforms, well-being platforms. I could find a whole lot of things grew during this period. Digital learning took a different avatar altogether. Whole lot of digital learning scaled up in most of the organizations. Whoever I spoke to, they started imbibing the digital. Even now, it has become a normal because they have started having a hybrid thing of learning. Physical classroom as well as digital, they are making into a hybrid. We saw some more good things like a whole lot of recruitment was happening. So many of the organizations have started to improve their, clear their backlogs and then improving their productivity. Whole lot of recruitment started. And we also found that annual increments became little better compared to the previous year, which was, even the ION study says the annual increment went to 10 to 10.5% as compared to the 6.5% to the previous year. Even in our organization, we increased the increments last year. But coming to the other side, yes, we saw the great resignation. Yes. Never expected. I thought it's just a fancy term being said, but gradually the heat started picking up and most of the organizations had around on an average of 15% of attrition, and in the normal industry, that is manufacturing and other industries, and around 22 to 25% in this software and IT and tech industries. In fact, I thought we are immune to that. Generally, our normal voluntary attrition used to be 4.5%, which even doubled. So, great resignation was one big thing. Still, we are grappling with it and how to control the attrition. Next is the new concept like moonlighting and quiet quitting all became very famous. That too because of the hybrid work or work from home, people having 2-3 offers and different controversies about it. Somebody says it is ethical, somebody says it is not ethical. and a lot of debates are also happening in this area. And a prelude to that is the great resignation, is the quiet quitting. People switch off for before they leave. That is also another new term which has happened. So overall, I will say it's far better than the last 2 years, but there are a lot of challenges. HR has to relook the entire way we work, and we have to gear up, pull up the socks.
Absolutely. So, with all these factors, digital learning, the great resignation, of course, as you've mentioned, moonlighting or cushion jobs, what would you say are some of the key learnings in the HR industry, and what do you predict for the year 2023?
Yeah, prediction is very so. Key learning is, once again, it got reinforced. Change is something which is constant. Okay, organization has to be agile. HR has to should be a trusted partner for the CEO and MD, and we have to quickly adapt to the changes which is happening in the external environment. Whole lot of changes are happening across. So how do you quickly change your business model, change your structure, process, whatever it is there to do that? That is one. Talent, getting the right talent, that too the leadership talent, is becoming more and more difficult. One is how do you attract the best of the best talent with various EVPs of purpose or experience or technology focus, or various EVPs what you give to attract talent. Next is how do you skill, reskill and multi-skill the existing talent to get up, because things are changing. How do you develop the internal talent? We cannot keep on looking for the external talent, which is scarce in the market. That is second. Third, purpose is becoming very, very important, including millennials today. Purpose, including purpose like ESG, is becoming more important. They say, what are you doing for ESG? What are you doing for DNI? And we call ourselves as builders to the nation. No, we make things that make India proud. So people are our prime movers. So purpose becomes very, very important. Flexibility is taking a new dimension. Flexibility has got different meaning for different people. That is another area. And hybrid work is going to stay. Maybe slowly it is coming down. People are trying to move, but there is going to be there. Employee experience and well-being. This too is taking more priority between the people. After the pandemic, well-being is being a different focus. And today, people, when you join the organization, they are looking at learning opportunities. Yes. This is a very, very important area. It is important for the organization as well as while the individuals who want to join are looking for challenging assignment and learning opportunity. And even for the organization, it is very, very important that you provide learning opportunities them so that you skill, reskill, multi-skill and take them up. So, in all this, the bigger canvas is technology. Every place, right from the end to end, technology is impacting. How do you leverage technology? These are some of the things which is the key learnings.
So sort of to summarize what you've just said, what would you say are some of the key tenets today to an organization's success, and especially keeping in mind this post-pandemic era that we're living in? So much has shifted, so much has changed. So given the overall landscape, if you had to summarize.
One is agility.
Yes.
Next is, I talked about employee experience, employee well-being, learning opportunities. Then getting the right talent, capability building. These are some of the very focused areas which you have to look into. Yeah.
And what role will technology play in all of this? We were discussing a little bit the impact of course, the latest trends like AI, ML, the Metaverse in the HR functionality role as well. So what role will technology play in an organization's success?
It's a big topic by itself. Technology, the end-to-end, right from your career portal till the F&F settlement, and every touch point, technology plays a very, very major role. I will take one or two examples in terms of AI, ML, which is used in talent acquisition. It's very, very highly utilized today. Once I have a job description, one is I make the experience of people applying right from the job portal, from LinkedIn or Naukri, just by a click of button on the go. He shoots the resume, which it gets parsed and get into that. So when I get thousands of applications, how do I shortlist it? AIML used to stack rank that in based on the JD, based on my past selection process, the entire thing it is taken is stagnant. So it makes the life of the recruiter very, very easy. Quickly identifies these are the people who are then. Then there is an automation part of it, whether for calling for interview, whether at a hybrid mode or at a place, and every touch point the feedback is given to the candidate also, so that candidate also gets. Same way, if you performance management, you are going into continuous feedback process. There's a whole lot of apps and technology available for pulse survey, like a Uber type of survey. At every touch point, to get the survey done, and you know the mood of the organization, where it is going, what action to be taken. Digital learning, it's another area which the technology has moved inside in terms of micro learning, that is a learning on the go. It's a small pieces. We have something called a rappel, which is you shoot a small content about that, that ESG or about DNA or about digital, about strategy, then followed by 5-6 questions which are with different options. When they answer it as a quiz, they get a point, and they will also get a smiley whether it is right, wrong, and points. And the back end, and we also ask a question once he answers whether you are very sure or you are guessing or you are very confident, like that. So in the back end, the analytics also maps the people into how many of them are which is, for example, a safety, fire safety, how to handle. A person is guessing and giving a wrong answer, you imagine it's a very dangerous thing. You have to do some training program, some structured input to handle that. So though it is gamified, the data gives a lot of insight into that. Engagement platforms, same way at different levels, giving points, exchanging of the points, giving badges, giving recognition where it's known to all the employees, like a Facebook at work. So that is another area. We have a technology we have also used in areas like communication, internal communication. We have called something called L&T Radio, which is a podcast where messages from leadership is given, some achievements of staffs are done, a lot of New Year messages, Deepavali messages, and many communication is passed on, which is very, very engaging, very small bits. People can hear it on the go. So that is the place. So if you look at every touch point, technology is creating, and now above all, it is data is picked up at every touch point. So analytics is playing a very major role. So you can have earlier it was only a system-wise and recruitment, you had analytics, training, you had analytics. Now you pull it into a data lake, cross-functional analysis is being done. It is also linked with finance, linked with supply chain. So it gives. So analytics is creating a next level of thing in the whole process.
Absolutely.
And that's how technology is creating a revolution, and it will continue.
Absolutely. And speaking of the metaverse as well, can you give us an example of how the metaverse will play a role in the HR functionality in organizations?
I'm not an expert in metaverse, but having heard that, I'm also looking at how we can utilize in this. One of the best use cases is the induction program or training and etc. It is typically you create a digital twin of an individual, and it's like a studio where everybody is given a glasses, he gets in. So in terms of training program, in terms of induction, all those things is done. Accenture has, I heard, done a lot of work. I'm here to have a demo of those things, and I'm talking to a couple of people to see how we can use metaverse in terms of interaction, digital induction, training, etc. That's the best use case I think it can be done. I am on the lookout for it. I think next time when I come to ETHRWorld, we would have done something
virtually, perhaps. That's really interesting. And so, you've mentioned, of course, employee experience really being a large trend, and not really a trend, but a large area of focus in any organization. And according to a report by Gartner as well, this will be one of the major HR trends in 2023 to really look after and take care of the employee experience across organizations. So in addition to technology and the various functionality it can provide and really enhance the employee experience, what are the other factors that you're foreseeing that can keep employees engaged and help in the retention process as well?
Yeah, interesting question. Okay, I talked a lot about technology which gives an experience, right? Like how you book a Uber, Ola, how you book Swiggy. You should be in a position to apply for leave. You should be apply for the review, give a feedback and all those. Another major area is something experience in terms of goal setting.
Yes.
how the goals are set, how it is being reviewed, how a feedback is given by the superior, timely feedback, constructive feedback, how based on that an individual development plan is made, how the organization looking at not only the achievement of organization goals and including skilling and developing of self. So all these things gives a lot of experience. Learning opportunities is another area where it gives a number of experience, because it is look at an individual need, customized based on his preferences, based on his width and depth of understanding. On the go he can do that. So that is learning is another area which is gives a lot of experience. Then communication also, I feel leadership communication on top down and as well as the bottom up. Have I being heard in the organization? Do my voice have a say? Am I being involved in cross functional teams? Can I contribute to the organization? How am I in the overall big picture? Where I fit in? How do I contribute? That sense if a person gets, then that is where the real experience and engagement comes in. Yes, we need the frills of having a nice birthday party and celebration and all the, it is very much required, but the deeper things are how I am being given a job, how I am performing, how I have been evaluated, how I have been learning, how I have been growing, how I have been adding value to individual. That's the core focus. If HR can get this right, then I think the employee experience and engagement will be at its peak. Another area, when I said communication, this is also touch upon trust. Part of it. So when I am heard, when I am accepted, when there's a top-down communication, when I'm hearing, trust level also goes up. So it's all together. When it combined, it is a totally different feel for the individual. That's how it is to be done. Yeah.
So, Doctor, that's a really interesting point you've made about the employee experience and trust being a big factor. Now, one would assume that trust will definitely play a role when it comes to the way of functioning in the pandemic or post-pandemic era, which is often a hybrid model or a work remotely model. So, how are organizations approaching this today, now that the pandemic, for the most part, is behind us? And also, what might go hand in hand with this model is the factors of efficiency versus effectiveness. Right. So how are organizations approaching this at this point, and what is really the focus area when it comes to assessing the employees?
It's good question, and this got prominence after the pandemic. Okay, when it came to work from home, generally performance management was a person is given a goal, and mostly we look at the effort as well as the outcome. Generally, right, what time he comes, how much of amount of effort he has put. When it comes to remote working, it is more on an outcome based. Yes. If it is outcome based, then remote working will become very, very much conducive for everybody. Okay. Yes. This is your KRA, this is the role, responsibility, this is what is your outcome to be achieved. Whether you sit at office or sit at home or how many hours you put, that is immaterial. Yes. So when it comes to work from home, then this outcome based performance management will have a more engaging with the employees.
Yes.
Yeah. If you cannot measure the effort put during the work from home.
Right. And effort being the tangible, the hours that the employees spend in the office and so on. So if I may ask you, in your experience, when it comes to moonlighting, what are really the major trigger points? Because clearly perhaps employees are looking for this outcome-based way of functioning, but perhaps organizations are not yet fully adept to accepting it.
It's my view, not my organization's view. So first of all, my personal view is you have entered into a contract.
Yes.
Right. Once you have entered into a contract, and it very clearly says there's a clause in every offer still that I will not take up any responsibility, financial any other assignments and outside this assignment. Right. You have very clearly agreed and signed and accepted. In spite of that, if you are taking an assignment outside, out of the office hours, then somewhere it is an ethical issue of going outside your agreed contract. So if you are very particular that you have to do different assignment, then you have to be candid with the employer. Tell that yes, I will be available for this many hours. This is the goals. This is the outcome to be done. I will achieve this. Balance period, I will be ready to do any other work. So it should be an open, transparent thing. But things will move. I think the way forward will be, there will be a lot of gig workers who will be on this mode of doing in different contracts with different employers. So then it will not be called as moonlighting, it will be called as gig working, because
Okay,
they are working
that's
with different
interesting.
people.
Okay.
When moonlighting comes with a small tinge that being accepted one employment, they are doing in another with other different employers during the same period. And 100% in all these assignments, there should not be conflict of interest.
Absolutely. But what do you think has really triggered this debate about moonlighting in such a big way in recent times?
I think it is the pandemic and work from home is created this. Otherwise, I don't think it's a new concept. I've heard long back also people telling that in the after office hours they are taking tuition, they are teaching somebody. I work in a shop. Then that time it was spoken as an ethical and a very value based discussion. Whereas now, because of the pandemic, people taking multiple offers and working in, and I think many consultants have started identifying this using the PF code number, etc. And then it became a big area of discussion regarding that. And it should not be a conflict of interest. When it's a conflict of interest, it becomes unethical. Yeah.
So clearly it's really the pandemic and a lot of shifts that have happened thanks to this that have affected so many areas of functioning of organizations. And it's also, as you mentioned previously, agility and adaptability are also two sort of really central tenets to a company's success given this extremely volatile period we've been through. So can you sort of break it down for us? How important is agility and adaptability for organizations these days?
See, it's a long back, there's a saying by Jack Welch. The rate of change outside is more than the rate of change inside, then the end is near.
Wow.
Okay? So you have to keep pace with the change which is happening outside. If I look at an organization, to very simply, if I say, first there's a strategy, that is where to compete, what to compete, where I will, what I will do, what I will not. That's making of choices. Okay. Once you have a strategy in place based on the competitive, there are 4 parts. One is the structure, that is whether I will a product wise, I will a geography wise, what type of a structure I will have in the organization. That may be depending upon your client, your customers, your competition, based on the raw material available, based on the scale and size you are doing. So based on that, you will have a structure. Then you have, based on the structure, you have a processes, which how workflows happen, how decisions are made, what has happened next, and all those things is the process part of it. The third dimension is the people. What type of competence required, what type of skill set required, what type of training to be given, what type of people processes to be had in that, all those things. And finally, reward recognition to do that. It can be individual reward, team reward, organization-wide reward. So these are the 4 levers for the management to run the business. When the environment is changing, he has to quickly look at all the 4 levers, whether I have to change the structure, whether I have to change the process, whether I have to change the people process. So it is so fast. If you look at today, there are geopolitical tension, there are supply chain disruptions, commodity prices is going up, there is an inflation, then so many other scarcity of talent, grassroots level talent, and technology is again at one place it is disrupting. So when all this is happening, looking at my strategy, whether all these 4 levers are in order, or how do I make immediate changes in order to align with that and move. And this has to be done by HR. HR has to play an important role in this. Most of the time, HR gets bogged down into the routine activities. When the digitalization is there, I think most of them should, and the HR should focus on this. This is where he earns a seat in the table. He becomes a confident advisor of the CEO. This is where HR has to play a different role. So he has to have a external perspective. He should know the customer. He should know the internal processes. He should know the HR function. He should know finance. So with all these things, he should be the CEO, CFO, and the CHRO has to steer the organization in this VUCA world.
Yes, absolutely. And so that leads me to ask you about the evolution of the role of a CHRO. And surely it's changed drastically, not only post-pandemic, but over the last few decades. If you could share some insight on that.
As I said, it is the trusted advisor of the CEO. Long back, it would have evolved like a welfare officer, legal officer, labor manager, personal manager, an HR manager, and become business partner. And Dave Ulrich also talks about, yes, he's a business partner, HR shared service centers and the center of excellence, right? And I really look at it, as I said, people have to be agile, looking at all these things. If you have to be agile, and what I said, if he has to look at the environment, look at the structure, and be a trusted advisor to that, he has to change his whole profile. So that is where the technology comes in. When the technology is there, automation, standardization, with this whole lot of HR function can be standardized and it moved to a shared service center, which can be done very, very effectively by a small set of people. There are robotic process automation today. For example, I take one activity of releasing offer to the campus selected candidates. I have 23 companies within L&T. So we recruit people for the whole of the L&T group. Then based on the requirement, we allocate civil, electrical, mechanical to each of this. But the offer letter has to go from the individual IC HR head. So it is all done by shared services. One place, the RPA, which is opens a folder, it picks up the Excel, the name of the person, the offer letter, the letterhead for that concerned thing, the signature of this, then makes the draft, sends it to the ICHR for his approval, based on which entire thing is done by an RPA done. So now, such things has to be done, and those things have to be moved. Next most important function of HR manager is talent management. Continuously building capability of the individuals within the organization. Either you develop people internally, or with the key skills which you do have a gap, try to identify the best of talent from outside and getting them in, onboarding them. Once you get them, how do you keep them engaged? Right from we spoke about the goal setting, performance feedback, all those things plays an important role. Purpose is getting an important area. How do you build a cohesive environment within the organization, putting a common purpose? That is one. Experience and well-being is another area which is taken into that. And one more thing to be done is, I feel that many of your line managers have to be empowered, like in terms of development, in terms of recruitment, in terms of things. You should also empower the line managers to brought into this. So finally, being a trusted advisor of the CEO, being agile, scouting for talent, developing people, bringing in great engagement, and focus on well-being of the people. These are some of the, I said in the beginning also, these are some of the priorities which you have to work on.
Absolutely.
And technology is everywhere.
Yes.
So you have to be digitally savvy. Learning agility and digital mindset, I think, should be the core competency of each individual in the organization to continuously learn and grow in this dynamic period. Yeah.
So in a nutshell, these are the HR trends of 2023 and the future, of course, that we can look forward to. Yes. Doctor, thank you so much for shedding so much light, really, and helping us understand these various facets and dimensions of the HR world and the trends that we can look forward to in the coming years. Thank you very much for this.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be part of the ETHRWorld. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
All right, on that note, that's all we have for you on this conversation. But for more such in-depth conversations, do stay tuned to ET Business Studio. Until next time, many thanks for watching.